Breaking right now, Thomas Markle Jr., the sister of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, has lashed out at his sister and her husband Prince Harry in the most brutal interview he has ever given.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorites.
It's really a little bit disturbing, saying that, she doesn't have a family, she doesn't have a father, and then Harry saying that she has no father now. That's just ridiculous.
Meghan Markle is always attempting to, shall we say, build relationships with very, very, very rich men.
I think she's taking advantage of a very weakened man and getting him to say things that you just shouldn't be saying on television. August 4th, 40 years ago, Meghan was born, and she was born as a C-section, so she was put in my arm. I was the first person to hold her. Her little hand went around my fingers like that, and I fell in love with her, and I've been that way for 40 years.
Royal family, you should be so thankful this woman wanted to leave, because she's not going to bring any good.
You're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Do you still love your daughter?
Of course I do. I love my children. I love my other daughter. I love my son. Of course I love them.
It all started with one sentence: I have no family. To the world, it sounded like a woman speaking her truth. But to Meghan Markle's brother, Thomas Jr., it felt like erasure. He says there was no fight, no reason, just silence. One day they were family. The next they were ghosts, watching her claim on TV that she had no one.
She doesn't know us. It's just very bizarre how she just basically brushed the entire family under the carpet like we don't exist, and then lied about not having a family and lied about she doesn't have a family that she's always wanted. We've always been here.
Their father, Thomas Sr., was stunned. The man who raised Meghan held her as a baby, filmed her dance recitals and school awards, now watching her act like he never existed. Thomas Jr. believes this was no accident. He claims Meghan was rewriting her life, cutting out the people who didn't fit her new image. Not for peace, but for position. And that was only the beginning, because once her past was erased, her father was next. And what happened to him would shatter everything.
What do you think's the biggest mistake that Harry and Meghan have made?
Leaving the royals, because that was what she married into. That was explained to her. The people of England loved her and loved Harry, and they were the stars. Everybody loved them in England.
Before the fame, before the palace, Meghan was a daddy's girl. Her father, Thomas Markle Sr., proudly remembers being the first to hold her after she was born. He paid for her school, her acting classes, her headshots. He filmed every moment. Home videos full of smiles, hugs, and dreams. But today, he says he's been completely cut off. No calls, no visits, not even after his heart attack. Or the stroke that nearly took his speech. He lay in a hospital bed 2 days before Meghan's royal wedding, waiting for a call that never came. And when Prince Harry later said, Meghan has no father.
It's really a little bit disturbing, saying that, she doesn't have a family, she doesn't have a father, and then Harry saying that she has no father now. That's just ridiculous.
Thomas says it felt like a death sentence. In his words, it's not just pain. It's like serving a life sentence, shut out by the daughter he raised and loved. Still, through it all, he says one thing hasn't changed. I love her. I just want to talk.
Do you still love your daughter?
Of course I do. I love my children. I love my other daughter. I love my son. Of course I love them.
But as we'll soon see, Meghan allegedly wasn't just cutting ties with her father. According to her brother, this was a calculated pattern, one she would soon turn on Harry himself. And what he reveals next is even darker. Thomas Markle Jr. doesn't hold back. When asked if Meghan ruined Prince Harry, he doesn't hesitate. Yes, he says the signs are everywhere. Just look at Harry's face. The once bold, independent royal now looks lost, confused, and controlled. According to Thomas, Meghan runs the show. Every photo, every interview, every appearance. She's front and center, always in charge. Harry, he's just the prop. He looks scared to speak, like he'll say the wrong thing, Thomas claims. It's like he's lost his voice and his identity. But it's not just control. Thomas believes Meghan's influence is draining him, emotionally and mentally. The man who once broke royal rules, fought for causes, and laughed freely, now looks like a shell of himself. And here's the twist. Thomas says this isn't by accident. He believes Meghan is carefully shaping Harry into what she needs. a support act for her story.
Do you think your sister, Meghan Markle, has ruined Prince Harry?
The answer is yes. I mean, every single interview, every single picture, every place they go, Meghan grabs him. Meghan controls him. Meghan tells him no. Meghan stands in front of him. She controls every single situation like she is the star. And she's turned Prince Harry into a man of non-substance, for her own well-being.
But if that's true, what happens when Harry no longer fits the role? That's where Thomas's warning turns chilling, because according to him, Harry's purpose is already served. And when that happens, Meghan moves on. The next part, it's not just heartbreaking, it's brutal. To the world, Meghan Markle is poised, compassionate, and relatable. But Thomas Markle Jr. says that image is a mask, and behind it is someone very different.
And I think it was a desperate plea because they've made their bed for the last 6 years, and now they're sleeping on them, and the entire world knows exactly what's happening with those two.
He claims Meghan has always been calculating, driven by image and ambition. She didn't climb the ladder, she cut people off to get higher, from childhood friends to Hollywood connections. Thomas says if you didn't serve her story, you were gone. She rewrote her life like a script, he says, left out anything that didn't match her new role. Even their family, he claims, was edited out, not because they hurt her, but because they didn't fit the brand. And her royal fairy tale, according to Thomas, it was never about love. It was about the title, the fame, and the platform.
She's already gotten the benefit of her bargain with Harry because she got the title. That's what she wanted. She wanted to be world famous. She wanted the title. You remember when Harry was single, he was the elephant. He was the one, the most eligible bachelor on earth. You could be a royal, you could become world famous overnight. You could live in a castle. You could have access to the crown jewels. You would be a princess. My God, yes, he could have had his pick.
But here's where it gets darker. He says Meghan isn't just chasing success, she's chasing a legacy, one that mirrors a woman the world adored, Princess Diana, and the person standing in the way of that fantasy, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Thomas believes Meghan sees Catherine as the ultimate rival, the real royal, the real public favorite. And that jealousy, he claims, is what fuels much of the drama. But if all of this is true, then Meghan's story isn't a fairy tale at all. It's a performance, and not everyone is in on the script. And what came next proved it, because even the royal wedding wasn't safe from the silence. For most families, a wedding brings people together. But for the Markles, Meghan's royal wedding became the moment everything fell apart.
That Meghan Markle really did expect Harry to be a billionaire when she met him. She was incredibly disappointed to find out he's only worth a couple million, and she's gonna have to actually work and hawk these jams and jellies and dog biscuits to have the lifestyle that she wants.
Thomas Jr. says they didn't expect VIP treatment. They didn't want money, fame, or even special seats. All they wanted was to be there. But the invitations never came. Not for him, not for their sister Samantha, not even for their father, the man who raised Meghan, who paid for her education, who dreamed of walking her down the aisle. Instead, Thomas Sr. watched it all alone, from a hospital bed, after suffering a heart attack just days before the ceremony. And when Prince Charles stepped in to walk Meghan down the aisle, Thomas Sr. didn't get angry. He was grateful. He says it was an act of kindness from a man who didn't owe him anything, a moment of grace, even as his own daughter stayed silent. But the pain didn't end there. Thomas Jr. believes the royal wedding wasn't just a missed moment. It was a message that the Markles had been written out of Meghan's story for good. And he says the erasure wasn't accidental. It was strategic, a way to enter royal life with no loose ends, no uncomfortable truths. But Meghan may have forgotten something. Home videos don't lie. And those tapes, he says, show a very different version of the woman the world thinks it knows. Coming up next, the lost footage and the forgotten girl. Before the tabloids, before the crown, before the headlines, there was just Meghan, a little girl smiling into the camera, running into her dad's arms, shouting, "Daddy, I got an English award." Those moments still live on in home videos. Ones Thomas Markle Sr. says he watches in silence, not out of nostalgia, but out of pain, because that girl, the one who laughed freely and hugged him tightly, feels like a stranger now. Thomas Jr. says if the world saw those tapes, they'd question everything. They'd see a happy, grounded child, not someone abandoned, but deeply loved. He believes Meghan's rags to royalty story skips the real truth, that she had support, that her rise wasn't solo, it was shouldered by the very family she later erased. And for Thomas Sr., the hardest part isn't the silence. It's the feeling that Meghan's success came at the cost of denying her roots. He says he's not perfect. He made a mistake before the wedding, a mistake he's apologized for countless times. But does that deserve a lifetime sentence? Even convicted criminals get visits from family. Thomas Sr. says he hasn't even heard her voice since the wedding. Not once. No phone call, no letter, no chance to meet his grandchildren. Just a house full of memories. And a daughter who lives only a few hours away, but might as well be on another planet. And according to Thomas Jr., this silence isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something far more dangerous. Thomas Markle Jr. doesn't sugarcoat it. He believes Harry was never the goal, just the gateway. In his words, Meghan saw the prince not as a partner, but as a path to royalty, fame, global attention. She got the title, she got the spotlight, he says, and now Harry's role is finished. Thomas paints a dark picture that once Meghan realized Harry wasn't a billionaire, wasn't powerful enough on his own, she pivoted from palace life to podcasts, from royal duties to red carpets. Every move, Thomas claims, is calculated. A rebranding project where Harry plays the background. He believes Harry is now trapped in a cycle, one where his past has been erased, his family cut off, and his only job is to protect Meghan's public image, even if it costs him everything. But here's the part that stings even more. Thomas says Meghan's final move may already be in motion. She got what she needed from him, the crown connection, the global fame. When that fades, so does he. And if that prediction is true, it changes everything, because it means Harry, the man who gave up everything for love, might one day find himself exactly where Thomas Sr. is now, alone, discarded, silenced, and as Thomas warns, if she could do this to her own father, what makes you think Harry is safe? Through all the drama, all the distance, one truth remains clear. Thomas Markle Sr. still loves his daughter. He admits he made mistakes, but his heart aches for a chance to make things right. He's faced serious health scares, a heart attack, a stroke, yet the silence from Meghan never broke. He longs not for fame or revenge, but for simple connection, to hold his grandchildren, to hear Meghan's voice again, to share a family meal. But time is running out. At 77 years old, he fears he may never see the little girls who carry his blood. It's a heartbreaking reality, a man punished by estrangement far harsher than any courtroom sentence. And even now, he hopes for forgiveness, for reconciliation, for peace. He believes no problem is too big to fix if they could just talk, just once. But with every day that passes, that hope grows fainter. So the question lingers, did Meghan need to cut ties to protect her peace, or did she lose something far more precious? Is this a story of survival or a tragic fall from grace? The Markles family saga is far from over, and the truth behind the headlines might be even more complicated than we realize. The fallout from Meghan's choices didn't just silence her father and brother, it fractured the entire family. Her half-sister Samantha Markle recalls a time when sisterhood was real, before fame shifted the dynamic. Samantha says Meghan's rise cut ties so sharply, it felt like erasure, not just distance. She argues Meghan's Hollywood success owed a lot to their father's support and connections, and cutting him out was more than just a personal betrayal. It was a public rewriting of history. For the Markles, it's not jealousy. It's heartbreak over being discarded by someone they helped raise. They reached out, tried to mend bridges, but were met with silence, a cold wall that speaks louder than words. This isn't just family drama. It's a story about identity, loyalty, and the price of fame. And as they watch from the sidelines, the Markles wonder, how much is Meghan willing to lose for her new life? As Meghan and Harry continue their public journey, filled with new projects, headlines, and controversies, the question remains, can any healing happen behind the scenes? Thomas Markle Sr. hopes for reconciliation before it's too late. Thomas Jr. warns that if Meghan's pattern continues, it could spell disaster for Harry and the family. The children, meanwhile, become silent pawns in a battle much bigger than themselves. Public opinion is split. Some see Meghan as a survivor carving her path, others as someone who's lost her way. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain, the Markles' story is far from over. And the truth behind the headlines continues to unfold, waiting for the day when silence breaks and voices are heard again.